Good afternoon, everyone. 4 o'clock straight up on the East Coast. It is indeed a Thursday edition of Middays with Q. Coming at you, powered by our wonderful friends over at Triax57. As always, I'm your host, Rich Quinones. 2 hours to play with. We'll take you up to 6 o'clock straight up on the 17th of July, 2025. 2 hours, as I mentioned, to play with. Bring something to the table. We will run through the gamut in the world of sports today. And as always, we encourage you guys to get social with us. Pretty easy to do. Triax57 on Facebook, IG, and X. And myself, of course, Rich Q on IG and X, and Rich Q on the mic on TikTok. Jonathan Marshall on about 15 or so. Summer League, NBA, the drama that is the Lakers. This, article on Embiid, which I want to get into in a moment. 5 o'clock hour is going to be NFL heavy. We've got some, I think, we talk about these storylines, and we're seeing already what's going on in the NFL with some of these, additions, if you will, of some of these vets, but we're going to take it a different angle in the 5 o'clock hour. And I encourage you guys to hang on for that as well. And you guys are fantastic. You guys always chime in routinely for 2 hours. We got a lot of comments the other day when we were talking a little NBA in this Embiid article. And it got me thinking, as sports fans, when we have that one player that can be, what's the word I'm looking for? Like a lightning rod, right? We always say a lightning rod of a player. And that's typically the franchise player. It always is. But it got me thinking, with a player like Joel Embiid, who has been around now for a minute with the Philadelphia 76ers. For a minute. Now, obviously, his career was derailed early on because of those injuries. But we talk about legacy, right? And he goes on, and listen, it was a well-written article. I mean, I read it, but I read the article and I walked away, okay, like, give me something that I don't know. Because we learn about these players as their careers progress. And then what we want to do is we want some context to their behavior, or how they act, or what they say, or what they don't say. Because that's what we do. It's human nature. We always want the reason behind something. Why did they do this? Why did they do that? Even in real life, when you're looking around, unfortunately, there's the ugly side of society and there's the ugly side of the world. We want to know why somebody did it, right? We want to know, what was the motivation? What was the motivating factor? What drove them to this heinous act or crime or whatever it is? And then conversely, the positive. Hey, man, what was the drive? What was the ambition behind? What was the determination? Who sparked that interest in you? But a guy like Embiid, he strikes me as this laissez-faire. Like laissez-faire. We want franchise players to have that Mambo mentality. If you're a franchise player and you're making max money, boku coin, max contract, as we like to say, mucho dinero, you're making a lot of money and you're putting up points and stats and everything, and you're trying to get to the playoffs and you're hoping to win some playoff games and/or series, ultimately you're going to be measured by what? Championships. You're going to be measured by titles. You're going to be measured by championships, rings. Ultimately, that's how a legacy is defined in sports. It really is. Did the player win a ring? Did the player win a chip? Did they win a championship or multiple championships? Whether it's fair or foul. And right now, if Embiid, and I'm going to ask Jonathan Marshall this in a couple moments, if Embiid decided I'm hanging him up, or God forbid had a career-ending injury, his legacy, I think, would be one that was unfulfilling, and I think incomplete, but I also think disappointing. Like, to me, I don't look at his legacy right now or potentially going forward like I would a Michael Jordan, who won. Even LeBron James won. A Steph Curry won. A Bird, a Magic, they won. Isaiah won. These players all won. They're Hall of Fame players. They're winning players. And I walk away with this, and I know it bothers to no end the diehard Sixers fan out there, because I know exactly how some of you goofballs think, because I had to deal with you for years down the dial on the radio. Because anytime you tweak a Sixers fan, they don't like it, especially coming from a New York guy or a Knicks fan. I mean, why? I should not be able to say anything. What the hell do I know? I should not say anything. But I'll say this. When it comes to this player, to me, it's almost wasted talent. And I think this Sixer brass, this regime, everyone was sold on the process. And let me just educate some clowns out there who, for some reason, absolutely just want to slurp at the teat here with the Sixers, and they're on the friggin' payroll. That process was a joke. That tanking was a joke. It didn't bring back fans. You got to be a jackass if you think that. I mean, honestly, do you look in the mirror and you wake up in the morning and say, I'm going to be a jackass today because I needed my team to tank? Are you kidding me? That's absurdity. The fact that you're putting on a piss poor product on the floor, you think that's going to generate what? Revenue? More fannies in the seats? No, you're doing a disservice to the fan base that's been following you for 20 years. And I know it also rubs Sixers fans the wrong way because of Josh Harris. But look what he's done with the franchise in Washington in the NFL. Now, you're hoping he can do that with the Sixers because, again, when they're good and the Eastern Conference is good, it's entertaining, it's appealing. But legacy is everything in life. It is. Legacy is everything. It's that lasting impression. What are you leaving behind? How will you be remembered? And again, a guy like this, unfulfilled, disappointed. My issue, my problem, and this is why I battle with Sixers fans, and I'm going to get to some of the comments. I'm going to get to some of Joe D. I see Tom at Summers Point who just thinks I'm a friggin' hater. Whatever. That's fine. Embiid, to me, never holds himself accountable. Yeah, you got injured. You got banged up. You flopped. You fell. You hurt your knee. You hurt your hiney. You hurt your heart. You got popped in the... So what? Nobody... At the end of the day, when we start making excuses and we start pointing fingers, and people do this in all walks of life. Again, all walks of life. We do this. Doesn't matter if it's in relationships, if it's friendships, if it's jobs, if it's sports. It doesn't matter. Everything almost comes back to this: accountability. You are accountable for your actions. Period. There's no debate. You wake up, you decide what you're going to do, what course of action you are going to take for that day. Are you going to sleep in? Fine. You might be tired. Do you want to pass up giving exercise? Do you not want to exercise? You want to have a couple pops later in the day? You want to go out, with the missus? Do you want to spend time with the kids? Do you not want to spend time with the kids? Do you not want to go out with the missus? Do you want to go out with the mistresses? Do you want to cheat on somebody? Do you want to break up with somebody? Do you want to stay with that job? Do you want to quit that job? Everything, no one's putting a gun to your head. It's all free will. It's all accountability. So it annoys the hell out of me when you get these players making as much as they do. And I told you, I don't dabble in another man's pocket. But once in a while, can a player come out and say, it's on me? It's on me. Yep. For the money I'm making, I got to do better. For the money I'm making, I can't be injured. For the money I'm making, I got to be accessible. For the money I'm making, to hell with the Olympics, I got to get myself in shape and be ready for the team in the season because they're counting on me. And all this dude does is point the friggin' finger. That's all he does. As we say in my circle, he is not a foxhole guy. You do not want Embiid in the foxhole. You don't, because the first sign of trouble, he's going to get up, he's going to grab his rifle, and his ass is going to take off. He's not running towards a fire. He's running away. I don't want a guy like this. So I read this article, beautifully written, well written, but what do you tell me that I already... What, because he's a quiet kid? Because he was raised in a different... How many people were raised in different countries? How many people, grew up in a single parent household, or their father raised them, or their mother. That's everyone, pretty much. Everyone's dealt with something like that. Nobody wants to hear those excuses. They don't. Nobody. Ultimately, you are paid to do something. So yeah, I'm going to go back to this. Just shut up and play. Seriously, shut up and play. You're making that kind of money, ball out. Be a franchise player. Be a leader. Hold yourself accountable. Don't point fingers every time something doesn't go your way. Because eventually I can't take you serious. I can't. And as much, and I know I'm kind of pivoting. Perfect example. You guys know I love Caitlin Clark. Fantastic player. Has not had a very good season. She needs to friggin' grow up. She needs to grow up. She shouldn't be pointing at referees and officials and saying, grow up. I'm going to go to the league, this, that, the other thing. Like, again, Caitlin, I'm sorry. Keep your mouth shut and play. Like, hold yourself accountable. It's just right now, it hasn't been your season. It hasn't been your year. That's okay. But hold yourself accountable. And too many times in sports, players don't. GMs don't. Head coaches don't. Ownership groups don't. They just want to keep pointing the finger. You know why? Because it's easy. It's easy. It's not on me. I got to blame you guys. I got to blame you. I got to blame you. I got to blame you. Tom chimes in. Q, this is ridiculous. I am so friggin' tired of listening to you all the time, every day, crap on the Philadelphia 76ers. You are absolutely an unabashed hater. Well, guess what, Tom? Don't tune in. Trust me, I'm going to get my 8 hours, my man. Seriously. If you don't like what I have to say, you can keep bombarding me constantly on X. That's fine, or Facebook, whatever. Then turn away. Turn away. Avert your eyes. You want earmuffs? What was that? What was the movie? Old school earmuffs, right? Inside voice. What do you want me to sit there and tell you that it's kumbaya with some of these teams and some of these franchises? Is that what you want me to say? Do I say that about the Giants? No. Did I not absolutely destroy the Knicks after the game one loss and said fire Thibodeau? What is it? Is the Philly fan so insensitive sometimes that you got a New York guy talking sports that I'm not equipped? I don't have the experience, the credibility, the resume, the body of work to talk Philly sports when I've been down here for 30-something friggin' years when I covered these teams? Get the hell out of here with that nonsense, please. Go cry somewhere else. Seriously, nobody wants to hear the nonsense today. Nobody does. I mean, be realistic. Be objective for once. For once. I'm speaking to a certain fan base and sentiment right now. It's okay to be critical of your sports teams. It's okay to be critical of athletes. It's not a personal hate and/or vendetta. But when you have players that constantly are looking around and pointing fingers, it's never a good look. It's not. De facto, you're correct. Embiid is not that dude. He thinks because he has a gold medal and MVP, he is the greatest. He's not even remotely close. In bum, the man says. Michael says, Sixers have been a disaster. Ball 316. Popping in early today. Ooh, we like to see that. Tank all you what, those picks were awful. Then he comes in with the afternoon sports fans. All right. An afternoon to you, Ball 316. Bringing a lot of stuff to the table, by the way, part of the corporation, I might add. De facto says, pump the brakes on Harris. He has one good season. Read. All right. That's actually technically, that is a read the room comment. My point is this. Think about this. Harris comes in and he takes a downtrodden franchise. See, you're the perfect example. Let's pop that sucker up. Let's mark the tape, as de facto likes to say. You hate the fact that Harris owns the Devils and Washington and the. That's your problem. That's your problem. So again, you're kind of watting in the wind right now. So he was able to turn that franchise around, and you don't like it. And it just so happens that right now he's dealing with the nonsense with the Philadelphia 76ers. He took the Washington franchise for 20, 30 years. That was a laughing stock in the NFL, and they went to the NFC Championship. You wish he can do that and get this friggin' team out of the second round. Seriously, with the nonsense. After Woosah Wednesday, we need a thought-out Thursday. No, we don't need a thought out Wednesday. We don't, or thought out Thursday. All right, quick timeout. We're going to come. I got a lot of comments coming in. Apparently, it's always striking the nerve with the Philly fan. Always needling a little bit. Jonathan Marshall's going to join me on the other side. We'll get his thoughts on that Embiid article, a little off-season NBA talk on the drama that is the Lakers and LeBron as well. Hopefully, I know he's driving, so when we set him up, and from what I was told, he's driving to work. So there's not. baby on board, so we'll be okay with that. All right, quick timeout. We'll come back on the other side.
Blast, got the drinks pouring. Take a risk like it's a short thing. Going in, yeah, I'm going all in. Getting cool out, yeah, you can bring a friend. Dive right in, let's go. Move forward, dip in the cold. Let the rhythm take control. It's going down tonight, yeah. Dive right in, let's go. Move forward, dip in the cold. Let the rhythm take control. It's going down tonight, yeah. Dive right in.
Oh, I thought I was going to catch them off guard driving around at WMUR. Are you parked?
I'm at, I just got to the station, so I'm here. I'm live. We here, Q.
It gets me nervous, man. They were getting ready to call Dyfus last week on you.
Listen, people don't get it confused. Look, my baby boy is in good hands. I was not driving. I'm not driving now. Look, hands. My hands are right here. Look, I'm good. We're good to go.
My guy, Jonathan Marshall, WMUR. As we are in the dog days of summer, good to talk to you, brother. I'm here. I'm glad to hear that the little one is okay. That's good because I was getting hammered. They're like, "What the hell do you have this guy? His wife's driving around. The baby's in the background making all these noises." First of all, the baby wasn't making any noises. The baby was absolutely fine.
He was enjoying his dad talk wonderful.
There you go. There you go.
Come
there
on.
you go. The banter. It's all about the banter.
There you
Speaking
go.
of which, did you read the article on Embiid? Did you take the time to? Did you take like 7 hours out of your day and read the article on Embiid?
I barely have 1 hour out of my day these days to just read things, Q. I saw it. I emailed it to myself to look back on it later. I have heard a lot about it though, so I know it's gaining a lot of traction. So I'm interested to talk about it and dissect it.
Listen, it was a well-written article and a piece and talked about his upbringing, his backstory, high school, quiet, reserve, introvert, all this, his parents, the same thing. And, the only thing I came out with is something you and I mentioned a couple of years ago. And it goes to the conversation of when you're building a legacy with a team and a franchise. And if there's a player, and we've come across them, we've covered them, we've known them, we've interviewed said players, the ones that just never take responsibility or accountability. And I feel when we talk legacy players and a guy like Embiid and his legacy in Philadelphia, like fill in the blank, right? If he were to, God forbid, go down today and his career ends, his legacy would be what in Philly?
What if? What if he didn't get hurt? What if he dedicated himself to being in the best shape possible? Those are the two what ifs. What if the Sixers were a competent franchise and didn't draft certain players or didn't hang on to certain players, or the whole tenure, this whole era of the Sixers basketball, which Joel Embiid is the face of, is what if? What if?
Yeah.
And unfulfilled promise.
That's it. Unfulfilled.
Unfulfilled expectations and the wasting of a Hall of Fame talent's prime years.
Yeah. Look, there are players that just come through cities and organizations and franchises where they can have all the talent in the world, but man, they just never get over that hump, right? I mean, Iverson, you knew what you got in Iverson. Every single night, Iverson, you cut his heart open. He was just the answer, right? Non-stop. And he basically took, and let's call it for what it was, not a very good team. He dragged them into an NBA Finals, right? He did. Embiid has yet to do that. Charles Barkley was never able to do that. Dr. J was with the ABA and then came with the Sixers late in his career, and they had the acquisition of Moses Malone, and they went on the run. They won the series. They beat the Lakers, the the sweep and all that kind of stuff. Like, they ingratiated themselves to the fan base and the city and the franchise when you talk about legacies. And I feel like, it's just another player that was really good and off injured. And that's kind of how it's going to be remembered, because I don't see this team being that much better than they were last year. I mean, look, okay, let me rephrase that. If they're healthy, that's one thing, but you got the issue with George already. I mean, hello. I don't know. Like when you look at this whole tenure, the last 10, 15, 20 years, it's got to be very frustrating as a Sixers fan, right? And you're a diehard Sixers fan.
For sure. Yeah, it's complicated, right, Q? Because you see when he's out there and when he's at his best, one of the most talented big men that we've seen, right? Like that's hands down, no question. But in certain moments, it just whether his body failing him or mentally in crucial moments, his game not living up to certain moments, um, it just always fell short.
Yeah.
And that's the frustrating thing about it because you can look back and say, well, what if he didn't play in the Olympics? How would that have
Right.
impacted last year?
Right.
What if he would have taken better care of his body early on?
Right.
When he first came into the league, how would he be now?
Right.
And so for Sixers fans, I think I sense there could be a little bit of fatigue when it comes to just Joel Embiid saga because at this point, yeah, the story's out. I heard it was well written, but at the end of the day, are you available to play this year?
That's
Can
all
you
that
play?
matters. That's all anyone cares
Can
about.
my question is, can you even play back to backs? And if you can't play back to backs, what franchise player is going to lead a team to a championship who can't play back to back nights, back to
Yeah.
back games?
Listen,
This is not going to work.
yeah, I'm all for the old school journalism, right? With the talking about the injuries, doesn't talk to James Harden. Um, still has trust issues. And when I hear, when I hear the trust issues in the organization, that to me is two things. That's a player that's looking for a way out.
Mhm,
And that's maybe an organization having an opportunity now to use that as an excuse
mhm.
to get him out. And I
Yeah,
know, trust me, I've been hammered since I came on the air with Sixers fans
yeah,
barraging me, and I'll pull up some of the comments for the guys on the YouTube channel as well in a moment regarding Josh Harrison and such. But you and I said this several years ago.
yeah,
At the peak, should have gotten rid of him
yeah,
for
yeah,
value.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
And at the time, we were called crazy, and it was looked upon as crazy on the surface, but it's not about what he's doing now. The mark of a good franchise, a good front office, a good GM, a good scout is to have the vision forward, right? To see where things are headed. If you really pay attention to the history of the game, big men with injuries, Joel Embiid's history, it's not going to take you much to realize in 2 years, 3 years,
he's done.
body's going to break down. And so what you want to do is you want to let off at him at his peak right now versus, okay, here's a guy now who we don't even know if he'll be ready for training camp. He's only getting older. He's in his 30s now. What's his value on the trade market
Yeah,
versus what it could have been then? And you still have
yeah,
no championship. And oh, by the way, you haven't even gotten past the second round yet. And
yeah,
so
yeah.
this whole Joel Embiid era and the trust issues, it goes to what we've been saying for years now, Q. This is an incompetent basketball franchise right now
Yeah.
on all levels. The best franchises in all of sports, they're elite when it comes to management, scouting, development, training staff, communications. Even when it comes to communicating these injuries, there's a cloud of distrust, confusion, incompetency from ownership down.
Yep.
It starts at the top, and your franchise player falls in line with that.
Yeah.
It's just a culture of losing, a culture of passing off blame. Somebody has to be accountable.
Well,
Somebody has to.
there we go. And there's the word of the day, accountability.
Mm,
That's exactly what I started off the monologue talking
mm,
about. Like it's always pointing
mm,
the finger. And if you're going to be taken serious as a franchise player, a legacy player, I don't care what sport, what position, you can't always do that. I got to read this comment. Pat is a diehard Sixers fan in Delaware. He used to listen to us on 1290. He goes, Q, loving you back on the airwaves with your old intern, laugh out loud, Jonathan Marshall. And Embiid's one of the most thoughtful and interesting dirty players in the long history of the game. Guys like Lamb Beer, they paved the way. All I have taken away from that article is no matter how cool or dynamic a player's personality is, what they do on the floor can make me absolutely freaking hate them. I hate this guy. And I'm a Sixers fan who
wow.
plainly tried to injure other players on the court repeatedly. I don't care what he has to say is unlucky he's been with the injury. I can't feel sympathy for him on that front. I hope he never gets out of the first round.
Yikes! No love, no love lost there, huh? No love lost,
None.
man. That's
To
tough.
you, how much? Let me start pulling up. Well, let's go through some of these because the listening audience is very Josh on the Josh Harris front. We'll get into that. I would prefer he sell the Sixers. He's doing an okay job with my Devils. We are getting better. Ball almost called you out before driving with no hands on the wheel. No, you are. I see you're stopped. I don't
Look,
see like the
there's
trees.
no motion.
I don't see the trees moving behind you.
Everything's good. Look,
My
I'm
kids
good.
ride in the truck bed, so I
Well,
can't
that's
talk. How
some
about
things.
this?
Some things you got to keep to yourself. Some things you
Yeah,
gotta
how
keep-
about Man coming in for the record? We were calling Dyfus on cue for forcing a man to broadcast with a baby.
I agreed. I volunteered. I agreed to do it.
Yeah.
Look, I agreed to it. I agreed to it.
All falls on Harris Q. Really? I mean, how much of the blame, like where, okay, put it in context, right?
Mhm.
How much blame? See, I think everyone got suckered with Hinkie and this whole trust the friggin' process nonsense, which you
Right.
remember, I would scream at the top of my lungs for this nonsense. So where are we blaming Harris? Like, look, is it because he's a businessman first and foremost, and we want we as in a whole, the sports fan, we want an owner that is a sports fan, then a business fan or a businessman second, primary, got to be that sports fan, secondary, you got to be that businessman. Because again, I think, and you tell me, I still believe there's a sentiment of the fan base that's ticked off that he's got his hand in the Devils and he's got his hand in the Commanders.
My view on ownerships is pretty simple. Q. These are wealthy people, right? Who 9 times out of 10 have no idea about the sport that they're involved with. They're
No, they
just
just
trying to
have
make
money.
money, and they're driven by power, greed,
Yep.
and power. More importantly, right? And so I can't blame Josh Harris solely on the fact that he's not the one making the personnel decisions, right? That falls on Daryl Morey. And so when you look at certain decisions, why is Kyle Lowry and Eric Gordon, why are they on the roster? Why was Tobias Harris allowed to be on the roster for so long, right? When you had a chance to get off up on, get a nice deal package when it came to a Tobias Hill possible trade instead of continuing that saga. And so I got to question Daryl Morey, who I've called before, and I'll say it again. He's a fantasy GM. He's in love with these names. James
Right.
Harden, right? He has his guys, right? His Houston guys, Eric Gordon. And so Josh Harris, yes, he is an owner, so he does have some blame. But at the end of the day, he's just a wealthy guy. He's not a hoop head. I mean, he's it's a business for him.
I think Maury's a used car dealsman.
That's,
I do.
at the
Now,
end of the day, that's what it is.
but remember too, you had the whole nonsense with Colangelo and the
Right.
burner phone and all that. That was all under Harris's watch, right? You
Yeah.
had the Brett Brown nonsense. That was on
Right.
Harris's watch. I mean, when he took over the team and then in like 3, 4, 5 years, the record was horrible. It was 137 and 313, right? He bought him for
Yeah.
280 million. He's making money on him. So it's like the bottom is starting to kind of fall out, but financially they're worth like 800, 900, whatever the hell it is, $1 million. So I just, to your point with Morey, I don't trust him. And the problem is, if you don't trust someone, you can't work with them. You
Right.
can respect them, but you can't work with them. And because you can't work with them, it's because you don't trust them. Well, I shouldn't say that. If you don't trust them, you really don't respect them, right? It's,
Right.
Kind of like the old adage in The Godfather, right? Your father,
Right.
knew Hyman Roth. Your father worked with Hyman Roth. Your father did business with Hyman Roth, but your father never trusted Hyman Roth. I feel that's the same way with Daryl Morey. Like, he's selling me the beater, man. He's selling me the beater. He's hoping I drive it off the lot. And then whatever the hell happens once I get on the turnpike, that's on me. That's not on him. So, this franchise, for all everyone's, they're going to be in it. It's going to be a wide open Eastern Conference. It does not matter because Embiid's never going to be healthy. The GM's never going to make the right moves. And quite frankly, I'm not sold on the head coach as well. So in 2 to 3 years,
Mhm.
is Morey still the GM and is Embiid on this squad?
Well, there are variables that determine that answer,
I
right?
know, but I'm just
But
firing it
based
off.
off, if we're following the history, if history tells us what's going to happen, then the answer to both those are no, because I don't see this team ever winning a championship as currently constructed, right? With how the bodies of Joel Embiid and Paul George are set up right now, it's just not going to happen. And do we trust Daryl Morey to make the right roster decisions and not be tied down to just these big names, even though it doesn't make sense basketball wise? No, he hasn't shown that ability to make those roster decisions, right? So the answer is no, and no. In 2 to 3 years, no, definitely not.
He's never been the same since Kawhi hit the quadruple bounce
That was
buzzer
a tough
beater.
one. That was a tough one.
Oh, not for me. I was in Miami. I was loving it. I was in a hotel room laughing my tushy off, man. I'm like,
Man,
yeah, yeah, yeah. Q hit Marshall with the cell phone call. I have a unique set of skills.
Q made the Godfather call.
Yeah, this is true, right? Winning franchises are good for business. Of course, no one's saying they're not, but as you mentioned, and we just talked about, it is a business at the end of the day.
It is.
You know, if like Jerry Jones is a goofball, and Jerry Jones is all about the money, but it kills him to watch teams
Oh,
in
of
the NFC
course.
East have success. Daryl Morey and Josh Harris, I don't really think it bothers Josh Harris. Oh, look what's going on in the Eastern Conference. The Knicks are better. Boston won. Indiana got to the NBA Finals.
I don't know Josh Harris's background as far as his love for the game of basketball, but I think he follows the trend, the hottest new toy. So what's his hottest new toy? Jaden Daniels, the Washington
Right.
Commanders, right?
Right. That's true.
They're, they're the hot new wave right now for Josh Harris, so
Yeah.
that's where his attention will fall into. I don't think he's watching. He's not locked into these summer league games. He's not checking out how these guys are playing. He's not in tune with the game of basketball and
But
where it's trending
is
to.
that, Jonathan, not to cut you off, is that his responsibility in your estimation?
I think as an owner of any organization, you should have an idea of how the industry is trending in your field. That's my opinion, right? Whether you're an owner of a TV station, I need to know the latest trends of
So you
TV.
think any deciding factor of go draft Edgecombe? Or that's the scouts and the GM?
I would say that's the scouts and the GM, right? But if you're the owner and you're seeing certain things that you may not like, I would like to think you have the power to say, I'm not feeling that. We
Yeah.
got to go this way.
Yeah.
That's
By the
just
way,
how I
do
see it.
you have to anchor at 5?
6.
I was going to say, because you're friggin' cutting it close, my man. Wardrobe and makeup and everything.
Pre-production, Q. I work ahead of schedule.
Hey, man, listen, I got you. I got you.
Yeah.
Let's switch gears for a moment. The LeBron mess with the Lakers. Now, apparently, LeBron is not trusting the franchise and the process with the Lakers. Oh, man.
Here we go again, Q.
There's all these like little sidebar rumors going around and speculation that Dallas Mavericks might swoop in and make a move for LeBron, or LeBron maybe goes back to where it all started. Maybe Miami's in play. Maybe Cleveland's in play. I mean, we're talking about the Sixers in flux in the Eastern Conference, and then you have LeBron and the Lakers in the Western Conference. How do you think? Do you believe LeBron finishes out his career with the Lakers? That's number one.
I mean, it wouldn't shock me if he ended in another city. It wouldn't shock me if he tried to one last go around, tried to build a solid roster, one last go around to win another ring. It wouldn't shock me. So, and based off his career, I mean, he's played for the Cavaliers, the Heat, the Lakers. I mean, why wouldn't he try one more team? It wouldn't be out. It would not be out of his history.
Do you think the
If
Lakers? So apparently, he reportedly hasn't had buyout or trade talks with the Lakers. So, do you believe the Lakers would dangle him out there? And at this stage of his career, with the wear and tear, and look, he's still a very productive player. Can the Lakers really sit there and say, "Give me a king's ransom," no pun intended, back for LeBron James?
I don't think so at this point in his career, right? Because what's the upside for a Cleveland team, right? Are you going to give up 2, 3 of your young pieces who have grown together and helped you win a lot of games for a 1 or 2 year rental that still might not guarantee you a championship, right? Because if you get, is LeBron worth giving up
Your whole future.
multiple assets and LeBron's your number one option at this point?
Yeah.
Where is that going to take you?
Yeah.
I don't think you're getting too far.
I think like for my Knicks, they missed a boat on that, six,
Oh, it's
7
over
years
with. Yeah,
ago.
it's over.
That's a different story. Right now,
Yeah.
look, he's a 4-time NBA champ. He's entering his 23rd season of his career. Um, my gut tells me at some point during the season,
Hmm.
he will announce his retirement. He will finish out the season,
Hmm.
but I believe he's got 1 year left. Because
Yeah.
think about it. You're not extending James' expiring contract, right? It's not,
Right.
I mean, they're not immediately doing it. To me, that's kind of goofy behavior. And that's why I think a lot of NBA pundits believe, okay, not signing a new contract with the Lakers because he's planning to announce his retirement after 25, 26.
Yeah, it wouldn't shock me. And also, you got to think what the setup of a farewell tour, right? The documentary and all these things, the big business that is LeBron's final season in the NBA, right? And
Yeah.
so, whatever team he's on, that's big business as well. So for the Lakers, LeBron's farewell tour in LA is worth a lot of money.
Yeah. Oh, that's
So, so
absolutely.
you got to, once again, it's the business of basketball that we're talking about when it comes to LeBron right now, and that's how I see it.
Now, does that see? This is why I could not stand the move for JJ Redick because he's too tight with
Mm.
LeBron. And
Right?
I hated the move, and it's no disrespect to the kid. Them
Yeah.
drafting Bronny was a disaster because
Yeah.
think about now, your hand is forced. If LeBron does turn around at some point of the season and announces his retirement, well, they're gonna tap dance to LeBron. Now, what if LeBron sits there and says, "Hey, I want a stretch of games where Bronny starts with me," and what if
Yeah.
they're in freaking playoff contention? Like,
Right.
I see it happening. He's going to have all these like list of demands. I want I want 100 million in unmarked bills. I want it dropped off over here. I want the plane fueled, the jet ready, my passport ready to go. I want all this. These are my demands. I know a
Well,
million's
well,
not a lot
two,
anymore, but still.
two quick thoughts. Whether that's when you make that choice to draft Bronny James,
Well, they
that's
didn't
what
make
you.
the choice. They were bullied into that choice. Come on.
When you were bullied into making that choice, that's what you signed up for. And this is what we talked about before, and what I've been telling people, which we're going to soon find out. All the contrived talk of like we're interested in Bronny's development, right? Well, when LeBron's no longer a Laker, what's going to happen to Bronny now? Now we're really going to see if you care about his development, or you're going to drop him off the first minute you can.
That
That's
the latter.
that's that's
They're
what I'm
doing
waiting
it
for.
because they have to say these things to
Of
keep who
course,
happy.
of
LeBron.
course, of course, of course.
It's like the old school, back in the day, the parents are out there and the coach is coaching the kids, and the kid unfortunately just stinks, and it just so
Yeah.
happens that the parent is your boss. Like, you have to lie to him and say your kid's good.
I'm just so tired of the Lakers story, Q. We talked about it before the playoffs, how they were so hyped up as a championship contender. I'm
Ah,
like, dude, they're not a championship contender. And going into
no,
this year, I don't want to hear it again. And so if
no,
you're the Lakers, this is the Luka era. You were gifted, blessed with a crazy, unbelievable, once in a lifetime opportunity to get Luka Doncic. The focus now, as it should be, to build around this guy. You're not winning anything this year.
no.
So see how you can build around Luka. Focus on him. For LeBron, make that money for the farewell tour. That's what the focus needs to be, because you're not winning anything in the NBA. You're not.
Um, so a couple guys were chiming in yesterday and breaking the stones about Cooper Flag. And I'm like, well, yeah, they shut him down. The kid scored 31. Like, is this kind of the new norm? Go out
Yes.
there for a game or two. We already know what you have. Just get used to the pace, acclimate
Yeah.
yourself, and we shut you down. We saw enough.
It's no. Look, I think players have been shut down before after having a couple big games. There's no point of risking the situation like a VJ Edgecombe who got hurt in the summer league. For the Mavericks, after trading Luka to get the top pick, the last thing you need is Cooper Flag jeopardizing the start of his training camp of his rookie year, right? That's the last thing you need. Cooper Flag is going to be fine. We saw all we needed to see in both those games, especially the second game. Shut him down. There's nothing more to be said or seen when it comes to that.
And then it looks like is Beal's got that buyout right now, correct?
Yeah. Uh, whoever his agent is, kudos because he's man the no trade clause to the buyout
Oh yeah,
to the contract. I guess reportedly he'll be signing with the Clippers. I mean, once again, just like the Lakers, I don't want to hear about the Clippers this year. Q, I don't
yeah,
because they were hyped up last year too. It's the same situation. James Harden in the playoffs. Can
sure,
you trust him? And lo and behold, what did he do?
yeah,
So miss me with Clippers talk.
yeah. Well, I mean, I think it's also because to be fair, um, look, OKC is OKC, and we saw the moves that Houston made.
Yeah,
The Lakers because of LeBron, but you're right. I mean, the Clippers had a just kind of kind of a Clipper-esque, disaster at the worst time, but they still won 50 games, right?
I mean, at that,
I,
what
I,
is it?
I know, yeah, I know what you're saying. I know.
you
I,
know,
yeah, yeah, yeah. No, I get it. I was starting to look ahead. Obviously, October is going to be right around the corner because time
Mm,
goes so fast now. When
yeah,
the season starts, and man, I'm telling you, I think especially in the Eastern Conference, knowing
yeah,
that no Halliburton, no Tatum, Boston is basically playing the long game.
yeah,
You get a team or two to kind of race out to a really nice start, knowing that Boston and Indiana are going to struggle, knowing that Embiid might not be 100% healthy. The Knicks with Brown right now, maybe their offense changed a little bit. You got an opportunity to kind of give yourself a little bit of breathing room. I don't think that's the case in the Western Conference because I believe OKC is built to not only win the conference again, but get back to the NBA Finals and win it again. I just believe that the Eastern Conference has a little more wiggle room, and
yeah,
I guess it's more open, I should say, than
yeah.
say the Western Conference.
Yeah, the East is definitely going to be obviously we talked about New York and Cleveland. Those should be the class of the East this year. But the Orlando Magic, Detroit Pistons, can those young guys take the next step, right? The Atlanta Hawks had a really great, I love what they did this offseason. Can they take a next step, right?
Yep.
And so there's a lot of variables in the Eastern Conference. There could be a couple surprises as well. Western Conference, I think the hierarchy is set. The Thunder, they have the chemistry, the confidence from a finals championship run that SGA will have, a Jalen Williams, Chet Holmgren. They have Nikolai Topic, who was a lottery pick last year, was hurt. He looked good in summer league. A guy like AJ Mitchell, who came off the bench in the finals, got some finals, appearances, and he looked good in summer league. And so they have these role guys coming into their own as well. We know what Houston did. I think Denver should be better. Minnesota, we'll see if they'll improve over the past year. And so I think it's OKC, it's Houston, Denver, and then the rest will settle themselves out. And don't forget, the Spurs are going to be very good this year. Very good.
Yeah, that's I think the difference is, you kind of look on the bench and you're going to have a different face,
Yeah. Yeah.
right?
Oh, yeah. Of course, for sure. A different face, but also maybe new energy, a new way of going about things,
Sure.
right? And so, young coach with a young and emerging team, getting a Dylan Harper, a Carter Bryant in the draft. De'Aaron Fox, he got hurt last year. Wemby got hurt last year with the blood clot. He's cleared to play. And so I'm excited to see what those guys do in San Antonio. I think I said it about OKC a couple years ago. The Spurs are the team that I'm looking at in the West now. Like, okay, they should be a top 6 team this year. That's my expectation for the Spurs.
A top
Top 6,
in the whole league.
Western Conference.
Oh, okay, okay. Let me
Yeah.
see. Let me just pull up real quick before I let you get out of here. Their win total. Mm. So right now, Rockets, Nuggets, Knicks, Timberwolves, Magic
Mhm.
are anywhere from 51 to 54.
Yeah.
Juiced a little bit of the over. Let me see. Spurs. By the way, the Lakers 47, Golden State 47, Atlanta 46, Clippers 45, Milwaukee 45. Spurs, their win total is 43 and a half.
I like the over.
Do you?
I do. If if Wemby can stay healthy and if De'Aaron Fox can stay healthy, they got multiple guys that can create pressure on the defense. They got guys who can defend. I like the makeup. We talk about how these teams are built. that win the playoffs, like these, they have the boxes checked off.
Yeah.
I really like this roster. I do.
I know it's middays, but you're in essence, you're going to back your play on that one, right?
I am. You know it.
Yeah, Jonathan Marshall at John_Marshall3, and of course, reporter anchor WMUR. And oh, by the way, if you guys haven't checked out the Marshall Time podcast, please check it out. Download the audio. He does a great job with his brother as well at Marshall Time Pod, and that is dropped also on SR 1029 FM The Game. And our good friend Angel Martinez, Nick and Wildfire chimes in. Q, it's good to see there's no baby on board today.
They'll never let me live that down. Career moment of my career. Q, moment of my career.
Well, we we know there's other things that are down the road, down the turnpike, as we like to say that. We want. By the way, I'm liking the
a new season, a new chapter in life. You know, I'm just going for the more seasoned look now. You know.
All right, brother. Did you drop a new pod or what?
Next week is coming. We dropped one a couple weeks ago. We're starting our state of the conference. We're going division by division, off-season outlook.
Nice.
Did the Atlantic Division.
Okay.
Staying in the Eastern Conference next week.
Perfect.
So yeah.
Yeah, then we'll start playing off that during the week.
Oh, yeah.
The next couple of weeks, and then I'll give you a couple moments here and there to talk a little NFL too.
For sure. Go Birds.
Are you you're excited about the season coming up?
I have no worries, Q.
Do you believe?
Come on, like Detroit Commanders, like
the
it's
Eagles
like.
Can
come on, Q.
You believe they can repeat?
If everybody remains healthy, I don't see why we can't. I mean, Detroit, the Commanders, these are the teams that they're saying can challenge the Eagles, Q. And I'm not moved. I'm not. There's that guy in Kansas City I still respect. Outside of that, Q, come on. Jared Goff, Q? I keep it honest with the quarterbacks, Q.
I think that Kansas City is mini cooked.
Maybe. In the AFC, I don't think so.
All right, well.
These teams have to prove it. They got to prove it. The Commanders got to prove it. Jared Goff and the Lions got to prove it.
We know which team doesn't need to prove anything.
I mean, you guys have already shown who you are. So, there's nothing to prove. Like, what do we...
They play like the little Giants.
Jackson Dart, though. Let's go.
All right, brother. We'll do it again next week. Always appreciate you, pal. Be well.
All right, Q.
All right, thank you. All right, there you have it, my guy, Jonathan Marshall. Good stuff as always from WMUR. We're going to take a quick time out, 4:47, and we'll hit the break, and we'll get to some more of your comments. I did see this breaking news. I don't even use my sounder, by the way, but that is an absolute monster deal right now. TJ Watt and the Pittsburgh Steelers have agreed to a 3-year extension that will make him the highest paid non-quarterback in NFL history again. Wow. $108 million fully guaranteed. Look at the Steelers. Oh man, Vince probably in Puerto Rico, probably sipping on the Puerto Rican rum right now, loving it, probably dusting off his Pittsburgh Steelers jersey. We'll get into a little NFL, a lot more comments coming in. You guys as well. We'll take you up to 6:00 straight up. Quick timeout. We will certainly come back on the other side. It is a Thursday edition of Middays with Q. As always, I'm your host, Rich Quinones. Quick timeout. We'll come back.
Hidden in an abandoned campground in South Jersey lies a mystical encounter with brews and spirits, where bonfires burn, shadows dance, and flavor favors the bold. Ghosts, ghouls, goblins, grown-ups, it's time to reclaim Halloween. This is Witchcraft, October 10th and 11th. For tickets and information, visit witchcraftnj.com.
Hi, I'm Bruce Pascoe. I'm very fortunate. Years ago, I found something that I genuinely like to do, and it's something that helps other people. What I do is help people transition from traditional health insurance into Medicare. I've been doing it here in Atlantic County for more than 20 years. If you're getting ready for Medicare, call me for a free consultation. 609-484-9800.
All right, fast approaching 5 o'clock hour on a Thursday edition Middays with Q. Rich Quinones here. I want to remind everyone, please get social with us as well. Very easy to do. Follow, like, subscribe. And of course, check out my good friends over at Triax57, Triax57.com. You can follow me on Facebook and IG as well. Rich Q on Q at IG, Rich Q on Q, and TikTok, Rich Q on the mic. It's 5 o'clock. You know what that means. I'm starting to get the look. I feel like the side eye is occurring right now from to my left. You know, it's very hard when I'm on the air. Like, I can't move around, and I typically like to move around. It's just, you know, the theatrics when I'm behind the mic. But for some reason, I can't do it because sometimes the pooch is laid out on my feet. So with that being said, let me get to a couple more comments, and we'll get to this. TJ Watt, my goodness. Man. That is a monster deal. Lays down a monster hand. Zachy chimes in. Q, you know what? Part of me now is a little more empathetic towards Joel. I've always been a fan of him for the last year and a half. I know it's been frustrating. Part of me has never been more convinced that this is the end of his Sixers era. Yep. Cliffy chimes in. Q, so basically what you're saying is Embiid should have taken care of his body, diet-wise, workout-wise, earlier in his career. Yeah, I agree with that. And Embiid literally admits this in the article. Yeah, listen, I'm not going to sit here and what you guys want to hear, or what maybe you're hoping to hear, is this whole notion that he didn't do anything, right? And again, my problem, and when I say doesn't do anything, like, he should have done more. My issue, and I pretty much, I think I explained myself clearly during the opening monologue. And if I didn't, I'll kind of rehash it for you, or maybe, I don't want to say dumb it down, but I don't believe anyone's really held this guy accountable. And I don't believe he's held himself accountable. I really don't. And all I was hearing or reading, or when you listen to others, what they're saying is, well, you know, injuries, you know, unfortunate. But that also goes with then you're injury prone. And if you're flipping and you're flopping and you can't take the physicality of the game, then I have a right to call you soft. Athletes don't want to be called soft. I can call you a front runner. Whether you guys agree or not, that's entirely up to you. I know Pat before. I know I've ripped him. I know Tom was killing me and ripping me. That's fine. Joe D doesn't like some of the things I've said and beat. He's been a Sixers fan since like 65, 69, 70, whatever the hell that, you know, he's mentioned that to me over the years. I mean, he still loves that 82, 83 squad. But my whole point is, when you're a franchise player and we're talking about legacy, and you have an article, the timing of the article, and I think Scott brought it up yesterday, the timing of the article is very peculiar because it tells me that you almost get the sense he wants out or the end of his career is near. That's what I interpret. That's exactly what I interpret. And again, you might sit there and say I'm off base. You might sit there and say that I'm totally wrong. I'm not being fair. That's fine. You are entitled to your opinion. But when you talk about players making this kind of money and they're trying to put a franchise on their back, then you got to be held accountable. Do we not hold quarterbacks in the NFL accountable all the time? Do we not hold head coaches, GMs, ownership groups? Got to hold them accountable. Do you not? You just have to. If you don't, I'm not going to call out your fanism, but I just think ultimately, if you don't hold these guys accountable, then there's a problem. That is a major problem, because You're spending money. You're driving, gas, tolls. You're buying tickets. You're parking. You're getting beer. You're getting liquor. You're getting merchandise. You're buying tickets. You're investing your time. You want a good product, or at least give me the perception that it's a good product. Go out there and compete. Know what you're doing. If I'm investing in you and the product, I want a little return on my investment. You got to invest in the fans back. And the problem with a team like the Sixers, or the franchise, I should say, they've never really been fully transparent. They really haven't. They've always had this issues when it comes to injuries and being transparent and just speaking the truth. And it's always bothered the Sixers fan. Always. And I'm telling you right now, the way they're set up to fail again. I didn't even talk to Jonathan about Paul George because he's probably so tired of it. He's so tired of it. And you can feel bad for a player for being injured. I get it. But when you're a front runner and you're going off and you're hooting and hollering when you're winning, you damn well better have that same personality and toughness when you're losing. All right, 5 o'clock, quick timeout. We'll come back on the other side.
The glass got the drinks pouring. Take a risk like it's a short thing. Going in, yeah, I'm going all in. Getting too loud, yeah, you can bring a friend. Dive right in, let's go. No more than dip in the flow. Let the rhythm take control. It's going down tonight, yeah. Dive right in, let's go. No more than dip in the flow. Let the rhythm take control. It's going down tonight, yeah. Dive right in.
This is what the Down Beach Seafood Fest is all about. It's about community, it's about friends, it's about culture, right? The food culture in Atlantic County is rich.
Hidden in an abandoned campground in South Jersey lies a mystical encounter with booze and spirits, where bonfires burn, shadows dance, and flavor favors the bold. Ghosts, ghouls, goblins, grown-ups, it's time to reclaim Halloween. This is Witchcraft, October 10th and 11th. For tickets and information, visit witchcraftnj.com.
Hi, I'm Bruce Pascoe. I'm very fortunate. Years ago, I found something that I genuinely like to do, and it's something that helps other people. What I do is help people transition from traditional health insurance into Medicare. I've been doing it here in Atlantic County for more than 20 years. If you're getting ready for Medicare, call me for a free consultation. 609-484-9800.
All right, 5 o'clock straight up on this Thursday edition of Middays with Q. It's not a Woosah Wednesday. It's a Thursday edition of Middays with Q. Rich Quinones here, coming at you on Triax57. And don't forget, comment, like, subscribe to the YouTube channels respectively. We'll take up to 6 o'clock. Let's see. Q, I know you think the Sixers are possibly setting up for failure, but do you feel that the young talent we have, if given the green light, won't need Embiid and George to do as much? and I don't say that lightly, like we're title contenders. It's a very good point you bring up. I think overall, like there's a difference. Like, what are we deeming success as? If they win 50 games and get to the Eastern Conference Finals, like if we're going on the premise that the young guns step up and you get what you think you're going to get from the bench and the production and Edgecombe and then Maxey, then you don't have to rely on Embiid and George. That actually, Scott, might be a good thing. Like the George thing was just an abomination. There are just some bad trade signings in the NBA that we've seen over the years. That's one of them. He can't play. He can't play anymore. He just can't. You know, everyone got on that. What was it? Who was the player they had? And he used to get absolutely destroyed. Tobias Harris, right? Everyone, oh my goodness, they couldn't wait to get rid of Tobias Harris because, you know, you thought you were getting Tobias Harris, you know, early on in his career. You know, you thought you were getting that guy that was averaging, 18, 19. Now, again, when he was with the Sixers, he spent a long time with the Sixers. He had a couple decent seasons, but he never really gave them, his production didn't match the money. Now, I'm not comparing him and Paul George, but what I'm saying is the George signing, that move for George, in hindsight, I never liked the move. It was a bad move, and now you got a player that's breaking down. So to Scott's point, you need younger players now to step in. But I go back, again, without belaboring the point ad nauseum, I go back and I look at it like this. You've got a player that you were selling a fan base on, that even though you drafted him knowing he was basically damaged goods, you felt with the right supporting cast, you can make a deep run to the playoffs and win a championship, win a title, because that's the reason you drafted Embiid. Now, fast forward, okay? Fast forward. It obviously, you haven't even come remotely close to that. And you've got a player that is damaged goods. You do. You have a player that's damaged goods. And you got lack of transparency. You've got veteran guys a la George and Embiid, not healthy, not 100%. And to Scott's point, yeah, now you got to pivot. Now, I said this during the season, and a couple of you guys call me goofy. You call me crazy. I said it's not Embiid's team anymore. It's Maxey's team. You got to build around Maxey. You got to build back, because you can't trust. It's like being a quarterback in the NFL and you're constantly injured early on in your career. How can I give you the keys to the castle and call you a franchise quarterback when you're missing 5 or 6 games? Within the NFL is a death sentence. That's like 1/4 of the season. I just can't trust a guy. Sixers should have drafted Ace Bailey, Rutgers. There you go. Michael coming in with the Rutgers. Give me 500. So 500 record? You're all right with that? All right. Then you're going to take your shots. You're going to roll the dice in the playoffs, but that's almost like purgatory, right? Because if you're an 8th, 9th seed, you're not really helping yourself draft-wise. That's another, issue. But I get what you're saying. It's time. They should have just moved on. They should have just moved on. Sometimes you got to cut ties with players. You have to. Ali checks in. Q, let's be honest. With him, they're a contender. Without him, they aren't even a playoff team. You're just talking nonsense. All right. I'm not again, you guys want to hear what you want to hear. Nowhere did I sit there and say they are a better team without him, but it's not working. It ain't working. It's not. It hasn't worked. Madman said it. Their best shot was against Toronto. Period. And it's just, they lost that. Again, they lost that. Q, 100%. Your monologue was dead on. There's no way I feel empathy or sympathy for a guy. Who the hell cares about his upbringing and his background? Look at the money he's making. Look at all these promises. All he does is flip-flop and flail. I think he's such a polarizing, talent and athlete because of the tease, the hype, the what if, the oh my goodness, can you imagine if this guy was healthy? And as fans, we get annoyed when we know we have something really good and it's just not working out because of, like, again, injuries. I mean, this is utterly ridiculous. A guy tweeted me, and I don't listen to other radio stations, but he says, listen to these Philly clowns saying if Embiid's career ended today, they would have already have had a statue for him. Come on. Just stop. Do people honestly really believe what they say sometimes? Do you guys really believe that? Nick and Y for Q, you're dead on. He's not going to be healthy. That's the problem. I already know going into the season, he's not going to be healthy. Man, you guys. It's like when we talk about quarterbacks in the NFL. Man, I just need him to be upright. I just need him to be healthy. It's like if Embiid was constantly getting Jalen Hurts was constantly getting injured, and Jalen Hurts was supposed to be the de facto franchise quarterback. Well, let me roll it back. He gets paid. They don't get to a Super Bowl. They're getting bounced in the wild card game. He's getting banged up. You guys would sit here and say, what? It's time to move him. It's not working with Jalen Hurts. It's nature. It's how we think as fans. You get to a point where if it's not working, it's time to just cut ties, move on. You keep doing the same thing over and over. What's that definition of? Insanity. Insanity. Look, I'm a Giants fan. You guys know that. I knew the Daniel Jones thing ran its course, but I get tired of every time it doesn't work out. You got to keep firing a head coach and bringing in a new head coach into GM. That's insanity. You hope you eventually get it right. Howie's a Browns fan. He can speak to this. How many years did all the media in Cleveland say, well, you just got to keep drafting a quarterback until you get it right? No, you don't. That's not how you run a franchise. The Sixers have exhausted all their means. They have. Simmons didn't work out. Harden didn't work out. Maxey gets hurt, but can play. All to placate. George hasn't worked out. All to placate one player. All to placate one player to satisfy his quench, his thirst. That's all they're doing. That's all they're doing. And when you're making those concessions for one player, you can't run a franchise like that. You will never, ever win. You will never be successful. It takes more than just one player. It does. It does. Jordan needed the bench, the role players, and he sure as hell needed his Robin. He was Batman. He needed his Robin. He needed Pippen. He needed Pippen to grow up. Like, there are exceptions to the rule, but you need a 1, 2, and a 3 punch. Bird was Bird, but he also had McHale, Parrish, DJ, Ainge, a very, older in his career, banged up Walton that was, sitting on the bench most of the time because he was injured. You just can't win it with one guy. You can't. Brady had Moss. They didn't win. If I'm an owner of a team, I'm building up my coaching staff and I'm entrusting them, right? My GM in place, my numbers guy, my salary guy, your Howie Rosemans, your GMs. I want to go out and get coaches that understand the path to victory. Like, what are we trying to accomplish as an organization? Ultimately, it's to what? It's to win. Because if you win, then you're going to be worth more. So the money's going to be there. Your investment's going to go up. You're going to bring more eyeballs. You're going to have more fans. You're going to sell more merch. It's just, it goes round and round and round and round and round. And then you get one of the local broadcasting rights. You're good to go. Then you build the team and the foundation. What the Sixers franchise has done over the last, I would say, 10 to 15 years is an utter friggin' disgrace. It really is. It's laughable. I mean, I can't even, if we're comping, compare it to what the Giants have done since they pushed Coughlin out the door. McAdoo, Shermer, Judge, Daboll. a rotating mix of head coaches and GMs. And what do you have to show for it? Nothing. One lousy friggin' road playoff game. You got suckered into giving a quarterback $140 million and he's not even on the roster anymore. That's why that giant fan base, i.e. myself included, is pissed off, ticked off, because we're tired of it. It's the same nonsense every single solitary season. So you get very, it's disheartening, it's frustrating, and you don't want to deal with it. You don't want to invest in it. You don't want to waste your time with that nonsense. If you go back, the Sixers, we're talking 10 years ago, Doug Collins, 34-48. Then Brett Brown took over. Okay, fine. We're going to go stall hunting, star power. They were horrible. 19 wins, fine. 18 wins, laughable. 10 wins, even a friggin' disgrace. Then you start to make the little bit of the move, right? You go from 10 plus 19 to 29. Why? Because you had the big man, even though he didn't play. But you had buzz. You were selling the fan base on buzz. Then you make that jump, right? The high point. Colangelo, Brown, 19 wins, 20 wins, 52 wins, and here we go. We're off and running. And then you kind of steady the waters a little bit. But then you turn around, it's not working with Brown because he never pushed back. He never held the guys accountable. Let's go out and now get Doc when everyone knows Doc Rivers can't friggin' coach. So let's bring him in. Same crap, same nonsense. 3 seasons, nothing. Nothing. And oh, by the way, you also go through a couple of GMs and executives. You go to Morey. Should I even bring up Brand? Then you have Colangelo. I mean, you had Jerry Colangelo. You had, Hinkie and all rise for Hinkie. And he died for our sins. Then you had Troy DeLeo. Remember? Or Tony DeLeo. Remember Tony DeLeo? Like, it's a rudderless ship. It's a rudderless ship. Who the hell wants to pay for that stuff? Who wants to watch that? So now you put all your eggs in one basket. We're going to keep running it back, running it back, running it back. It's just not working. Why are we so afraid to start over? It's a simple question. Why are we so afraid to start over with our teams? Why? Because we don't want to lose any more games? We don't want to have to rebuild? We can't take it anymore? There's got to be a little bit of a light at the end of the tunnel with some of these franchises. And I feel with the Sixers, there's no light at the end of the tunnel. There's not. And there's certainly no title coming up either. It's a long season. In the NFL, you catch lightning in a bottle sometimes. You do. You catch lightning in a bottle, but some of these franchises, Tampa was bad for so many years. Cleveland, so many years. You had a little bit of a run here. I'm not even talking about the 80s when they had some great runs, or in the 70s, right? The Cardiac Kids. That devastating loss to the Raiders. Let's throw it. Let's not kick the field goal. The Colts had lean years. Jacksonville lean years. The Jets lean years. The Giants haven't been relevant since, 15 years ago. But the NFL is cynical because it's 17 to potentially 20, 21 weeks. You have less margin of error, but if you catch and run, you catch and run. And a lot of times, if you arrive too early, sometimes that's smoke and mirrors. And I can give you perfect examples for that. Washington arrived early, but they're trending up because they've got a franchise quarterback in place. They've got the right culture now going forward. A team like the Giants a couple of years ago that won on the road, they beat Minnesota. They were just enamored by that performance by Jones when we all know it was just catching lightning in a bottle. Did he have a good season? Yes. But the market said pay him, and it blew up in their face. Sometimes you can have these little mini runs, but there's no sustainability, and you're almost fooling the fan base. And that's the problem. And again, I can only speak for my teams in this vein. The Giants make the playoffs in 2016 against Green Bay. They go on the road. Could have made the argument, all those drop passes, the boat game, we know it. They could have won that game. But yet, they decide we're going to squeeze a couple more years out of Eli. We just want a couple. They never fixed the line. So it's almost like I'm robbing Peter to pay Paul right now. And it hurt the franchise. It set them back. And then you go through head coaches, you go through GMs, you go through an influx of quarterbacks, hit or miss in the draft. And it's a rudderless ship. It's a joke of a franchise right now. And it pains me to say that. We've seen it in baseball. The Rockies are a rudderless ship. We're seeing it in the NBA, and the Sixers fit that mold. It is a rudderless ship. There's no path to victory. There's no sense of direction, period. There isn't. Do the Sixers make the playoffs next season? You got to give me more, Michael. Is the caveat Embiid plays 60 games? Right? If he plays 60 games, then they've got to, and you know, you get what you think out of Edgecombe and the bench and Maxey. They can win 40 plus games and make the playoffs. But I don't want to hear this. Well, once they're in, they're not built to compete. Why do I feel like my Sixers are identical to the Dolphins? Because you've got a franchise player, right, in Embiid, a franchise player in Tua. So let's build around. But what do those two have in common? They're always hurt. And you invested a lot of money into them. And you're still questioning the head coaches respectively. The difference is in the NFL, as I alluded to, you catch lightning in a bottle and win 5, 6, 7 straight, and you make the playoffs, anything can happen. You can get in with 9 wins. The NBA, chances are 40, 45 wins, you're not pulling up the upset. You're just not in the first round. You're just not. Can you judge culture after 1 year cue? They're about to fumble the ball with McLaurin. You can. And I'm going to tell you why. Because that Washington franchise was so bad under Daniel Snyder. It was just horrible. So you're talking, I get what you're saying, and I'm trying to come up with the best analogy. Let's think of Washington as when Daniel Snyder was there. Let's think of Washington as that, it's a really sharp looking Benz. It's really sharp, okay? It's a really sharp looking Benz. But yet nobody decided to look under the hood. And you finally pop the hood, there's no freaking engine. Like, that was Washington. They had no idea what they were doing. They the mechanics had no clue. They had no clue. That car couldn't move. It looked shiny because it was Daniel Snyder. And when I say it looked shiny, because of what that team was worth. And it's a very good football fan base and market. But all the crap, all the turnover, the head coaches, the firings, the hirings, the allegations, the sexual allegations with the cheerleaders and all that, it was horrible. It's like you want to rip the hood off, put a new engine, or just rip it apart and build it back up. Like Jackie Chan did in The Karate Kid with Smith's kid, right? He kept beating the car and then building it back up. That was Washington. Now they finally build it up where it's sustainable. You can drive it off the lot right now. They changed the culture. Yes, you can. You can change culture in a year. That, they talk about the new stadium and the fan base being alive, and now you got a franchise quarterback. You have a head coach that can win. I mean, you had Bieniemy and you had Rivera, and they thought they had something in Heineke. They had no idea what the hell they were doing offensively or defensively. And it just blew up in their face. So they had to clean it out again. They had to. You win when you have players and you have a coaching staff and you have a belief and you stick with those convictions. So yes, I think Harris has done a good job of cleaning out that nonsense. Whether you want to sit there and say he really hasn't had a hand in it, you can't say that, because at the end of the day, he's the one that's signing checks, period. He's signing checks. So yes, to go to where they were for 15 years, come on, guys, they were a laughing stock of a franchise. Nobody took the Commanders serious. None. No, nobody. They would get beat upon all the time. There were no competition to the Eagles or the Giants or the Cowboys. They weren't. They were a laughable franchise for so long. And yes, they have changed the culture, the dynamic. And I get it. Eagles fans don't want to hear it. Some football fans don't want to hear it. But that's the truth. Winning cures all. Winning cures all. Go back to where this team was. Let's just go back to say 2000, because I did it with the Sixers. Go to the Shanahan years, which for just disgraceful. Actually, go back to Jim Zorn, who had no idea what the hell he was doing. None. He had no idea what he was doing. Snyder was the principal owner. They were 4-12 that year. Then they go 6-10. Remember Shanahan and the nonsense he pulled, the crap he pulled, ruined RG3's career? They won 10-6 one year. Okay, fine. Then a little bit of buzz. Then they came right back down to earth because they didn't have a quarterback, and they won 3 games. Then they had Jay Gruden. Then they won 4 games and 9 games. And it goes on and on and on and on and on. And under that same principal owner, Snyder, 7-9, 2020, 7-10, Daniel Snyder, 2022, 9-8-1 or 8-8-1, Daniel Snyder. Oh, by the way, Josh Harris, clean house, get rid of the nonsense. I want to see what I have. Ron Rivera, 4-13. It ain't working out. Get rid of Rivera, get rid of Eric Bieniemy, draft Jaden Daniels. Here we go. And they win 12 games and get to the NFC Championship. That, by definition, is changing the culture of a franchise. That right there is Webster's definition. That's exactly what he did. Sometimes it takes a year or two, but yes, they're trending up. They're trending up is what I'm saying. And again, it doesn't matter what you think of how they're handling a wide receiver's contract. It doesn't matter they're still trending up, whether they fumble the bag with this or not. He's better than Snyder, but that's a low bar. Again, I think you're getting your wires crossed. You're equating Harris. Your bias against Harris is because he is owner of the Devils and the Commanders. So as an Eagles fan, as a Philly fan, you probably sit there and say, that's blasphemy. That's a conflict of interest. And to Jonathan's point, maybe there's something to him not taking any stock or equity in the Sixers because he knows it's a bad product right now. And he also knows, hold on a second, I got something going on in DC here. I got something going on. Now, again, they made the move for Miller. Whether you believe he should be playing or not, I don't think that's a moving the needle, right? But they have changed the dynamic, the culture, and that happens when you have freaking players, when you have a coach, when you build a roster. I'm going to give you another example. Again, look at the last season of Belichick, and it was just dreadful. And then they had to hire Gerard Mayo. And I came on the air and I argued with Pats fans, even Jovan talking about the Patriots. I said they stink. Their roster is so bad. Their roster is so bad how it's presently constructed. It's going to blow up in their face. And you had a coach that was calling out players at press conference. You had a coach that wasn't being held accountable. You had a coach that wasn't holding himself accountable. You had a coach that wasn't really holding players accountable, but it was passive aggressive. You had to get rid of him. You got to change culture. So you bring in a guy that understands the Patriots way, and you've got a young quarterback to build on. They might not win a lot of games, but they're trending up. They're changing the culture. It's very hard to do that. It's very hard to do that. No, that was Shanahan. No, Shanahan threw him out there. Don't tell me. No. Shanahan threw him out there in that game when he was already injured. You remember that? He got criticized. He got criticized for that nonsense. Now, again, I know a couple years ago, Shannon Sharp said you can't blame him for that. But he was put in the position, he got hurt in that game. He had to start. He kept him in that game. Don't you remember that game? He kept him in that game. He stuck with him. That was horrible. He re-injured his knee, but he kept him in the game. What are we forgetting about that? That basically ruined RG3's career. I mean, it was apparent. he couldn't play. He was hurt. I remember watching that game with my father. He was laboring. I mean, had you leave him in that game at that point was absolutely mind-boggling. That was a horrible, horrible coaching decision. He's not a pocket passer. That quarterback, his game was predicated on what? His legs and mobility. And if he's got no mobility, he's dead. He's done. That was blasphemy. That was, what's the word I'm looking? I know I use the word sometimes and I don't recall it, but that was a bad situation. That was a horrible, horrible, horrible situation. Hola, Vince. Vince should be happy. TJ Watt got the bag. Your loyal listeners are smart enough to draft Daniels in the first round. Your Commanders have one player. Well, oh my God, you and the Commanders nonsense. Yeah, I'm not buying that at all. Because I'm going to tell you why I'm not buying that nonsense at all. Because Shanahan was a Super Bowl winning head coach. Mike Shanahan is not going to get pressured by a jackass owner to keep a player in a game. No, that was just piss poor coaching by Mike Shanahan. That's all that was. That's all that was. Rumor schmoomer. No. Everyone and their mother saw that kid was hobbling around and could not play anymore. That was rough to watch, man. That was really, really rough. That was the playoff game, was it not? That was a wild card game against Seattle. Because he played well that season. He played well. He had a pretty good year. He had like close to 30 picks. What was he, rookie of the year? Right? No, I'm not buying that for a minute. I'm not. I mean, sometimes like your brain has to take over, does it not? And you have to say, yeah, this is just not working out. This is not in the best interest in the player. Now, didn't he come back the next year? He was he just never the same. He was just never the same. And remember, too, after that 3-13, they got rid of Shanahan. That's when they hired friggin' Jay Gruden, which was another monumental mistake, right? Training camp about a week away. What teams are the most interested in preseason storyline? Browns QB battle, Niners after the trades, and money. Dak taking the next step. Well, I do have my. I'll have to research. That's not a Mike Shanahan type of move. I'm telling you right now. RG3 didn't want to come out. He is somewhat My God. You know what? Again, thank you. Malpractice. That's the word I'm looking for. I'm going to limit de facto chiming in on the Commanders. I mean, you should care about the Steelers because, again, they just, I'm on vacation and tuning in. Don't make me do the opposite. You know what? Go have a sip of rum. I don't have a problem with that. Hold on. Full apology to the corporation. What do we got here? Oh, why? Because you're pulling up crap. This is AI. I'm getting text now. AI generated. Shanahan, then head coach, believed that Griffin should have been pulled from the. This is AI. You can't trust this nonsense. Get the hell out of here with this. Shanahan believed that Snyder's close relationship with Griffin and a desire for Griffin to play regardless of injury. Let's just Go Google AI because AI is 100% correct. Stop. Yeah, did Snyder have something to do? Was Snyder to blame as well? Yes, but Shanahan's the friggin' head coach at the end of the day. The head coach makes the decision. The head coach plays the players or sits the players, period. Period. Okay? So we had a Woosah Wednesday, and now because of this, we are going to now call Thursdays a thought-out Thursday. I marked the tape. You brought the Commanders today, not me. This AI stuff. I'm not apologizing for nothing. Coach is coach. The coach, it's his decision. Are we going? we going out with thought out? Salim chimes in, Q, you know me, I'm a diehard Washington fan. That's all on Shanahan, period. And Salim used to call me when I was on the air on 1360 WNJC from a payphone. So guess what? Yes, a payphone. So guess what? Salim has clout in this regard. Not when the idiot owner says, put him back in. I don't care. You're the coach. You don't do it. Stop. Stop. You're embarrassing yourself. Come on. You're more woke than... No, you're embarrassing yourself. You are embarrassing yourself with this nonsense. So Salim is you know what? Salim is a diehard Washington fan. And by the way, I can prove to you he is because there's someone else that I don't know Salim is a diehard Washington fan. Bot my you know what? Get out of here, man, before I bot you. He's a diehard Washington fan. Period. Don't and want are two different. Look, man, we're just going to agree to disagree. Period. All I'm saying is the coach knew RG3 was hurt. You pull the kid. That's on the head coach. I don't want to hear about Snyder. And by the way, we're going down again these rabbit holes with stuff when we're talking about the culture and the changes. All I was saying, to go back to my original point, is that yes, you clean house, you change the culture. A team like the Sixers have not been able to get their culture correct. Again, I know I'm not reading the room, but if I buy a super chat, do you get a taste, Q? What is a super chat? What is that? Where is Ball 316 to set this guy straight? Please. This is like the Pacer situation this year with Halliburton. Owner said after playoffs he would have sat him out. Coach should have. You guys, you know what you're doing right now, which really drives me insane? You're Monday morning quarterbacking, right? Everything's in hindsight. 2020 is hindsight. Woulda, shoulda, coulda. Woulda, shoulda, coulda. Period. There you go. Got to save the players from themselves. Shanahan left him out there. And remember, he dropped back to pass, crumpled, and that was pretty much it. That's on Shanahan, the head coach. I don't care what anyone else says. I'm not. To me, it's not even debatable. The coach sees the players laboring and the players hurt. Halliburton, I don't want to say it's a different animal because, you're talking game 7 NBA finals. Does that make it right? No, it doesn't. I think there's a risk to reward factor. I really do. I hope the kid, recovers fully. I really do. But you saw that's non-contact, and you knew right away it was torn ACL. But to Vince's point, I get it. There's that fine line. But sometimes, like, discretion has to take over. Are you really coming with this nonsense? I mean, somebody please check de facto right now. I can't do this. I can't do this right now. I don't even want to pull up the comment. Like, you're trying to have a conversation with me. I'm trying to put on a friggin' sports show, and you're asking me about the YouTube prompt to buy a super chat. Do those funds go to your YouTube? Or did you get a piece of I can't right now. I really can't. I don't know. Well, all I can promise you is de facto, we'll look into that. The fact that you guys hang with me for 2 hours is enough. That's, you know what? The loyal listeners, and Salim is ticked off. Salim's not a bot. I'm telling you, Salim from Blackwood used to call from a payphone when I was on 1360 WNJC. Quick side note on that. Because that station, I don't even think it exists anymore. It was right off of Herfield Road. And it was right near the water tower. And there was 5 Points Diner. So for the diner guys out there, you probably know that. It was 5 Points Diner. And the water tower is up there. It was a really small station. It was called Renaissance Radio. It was on the AM dial. So I didn't get paid. So I worked at the station. I took out the trash. I would clean the production board. I would produce like religious programming. I would do like traffic updates, paint, collect, collect ad revenue money from the people that were coming in. And I brought in my little black and white that was in the kitchen. And that was the little TV that I would set up on Sundays because I had to work Sundays until like 2:00, which was horrible because you're missing the first quarter of the games. And I used to do a show. And I used to have my buddy call up every time I would go to a commercial break. So I did this In the Trenches show from 1 to 1:30 on every day. So I would call him up and get the updates because sometimes, other games are going on. They didn't really do the scroll that much. And I would write them down and, we would go to, Mount Laurel for my updates. So I would boom, boom, boom. And I would take like 3 to 4 breaks in 30 minutes, where now I can talk for 2 straight hours. But it kind of just, you bringing that up with the funds kind of stuff and the loyal listeners and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, I mean, that was many, 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 many years ago. I mean, we're not talking about the Commanders were brought up because we're talking about the change of culture and Josh Harris, right? What does this have to do with you being wrong about Shanahan and RG3? Read the room. I'm not wrong. I'm 100% correct. And you know what? Man? It's a 5-minute ban. How about that on a Thaw It Out Thursday? I'm not wrong. The coach should have pulled him. I don't care what the hell AI chat says. I really don't care. There's absolutely no way that he should have kept him in there. You're having a quarterback out there trying to run with an injury. Like, seriously, what are you doing? I mean, are you guys that goofy? I'm just being honest. Are you that freaking goofy thinking that the head coach had no culpability, no responsibility at all for keeping him out there when his leg got twisted and wrapped up? I mean, you guys are just relentless with this crap sometimes. Just relentless. Relentless. I'm telling you. And RG3, to be fair too, also didn't even have the belief he can friggin' run the ball after the injury. And everyone was always talking about, if that's the case, he couldn't avoid the hit. And we know RG3 was close to Daniel Snyder. It was always reported upon. We always knew that. But you think that an owner's ego should take the place or have a deciding factor in real time for a head coach to pull a kid, to pull your potential franchise quarterback when you realize he can't play anymore? Just stop. There's a difference between hurt and injured. He was injured, and that ruined his knee. It ruined his knee. He had no confidence. He had no strength, and he's dropping back the friggin' pass against that pass rush at that time. Why? Because the egotistical head coach, not the owner, kept him in. Unbelievable. I mean, just seriously. It was just absolutely, again, you realize Shanahan is the one that kept him out until Snyder said that. I'm done with this. I'm done with this crap today right now. I am. Jerry doesn't make his coaches do certain things. Okay, so let's just go along for this ride. So you mean to tell me if Dak Prescott rips up his friggin' knee and he's limping, all of a sudden Jerry Jones is going to tell, at the time, Mike McCarthy, keep him in. Mike McCarthy's going to keep him in. Do you understand the liability with the CBA and the Players Union? Do you understand that? If there's somewhere a wiretap that Daniel Snyder, or there's somewhere where, Shanahan said, whatever you need me to do, boss, I'm going to do it. You guys are just talking nonsense today. Nonsense today. Okay? Nonsense with this crap. All we were going on a nice conversation about changing the culture. That's all. And we mentioned the Sixers and Harris, and this is where we're at right now. This is where we're at. Nick and Wallyford, Q, I remember that game. He was living it with his moving, and I don't believe it was actually on the head coach, but I certainly don't believe it was on the owner. Well, then who's it on? I mean, who's it on? It's a player's responsibility. We would take him out of the game. Then you know what we say? See, this is the other problem. As fans, this is what we do that's wrong. If Halliburton doesn't play game 7, that kid's being crucified. Crucified. Suck it up. Look at all the money. Play. You're not hurt. He gets hurt. Why did he play? Why was he out there? It's Monday morning quarterbacking, guys. Monday morning quarterbacking, period. This about RJ3 who wasn't good and Shaq who avoids the process. Yeah, I forgot. Shaq wants to take a punch at him. Should have and what actually happened are two different things. You know, man, I'll tell you. I got to be quite honest with you. If it was a Woosah Wednesday, we would probably have a couple of issues right now. We really would. It's a shame what happened to RG3. We forget too. He had a cup of coffee with the Browns and then the Ravens. I mean, you guys are going to sit there and say when Carson Wentz, tore up his knee, he should have stayed out there as well. Now, McNabb getting hurt and then throwing a touchdown pass, he's still out there and he's playing because Andy Reid wanted him out there, then that's all on Andy Reid. The liability in that regard is just ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. Oh my God. Bobby D chimes in. Q, do you see that Carson Wentz is still jobless? Yeah. I did see that. Man, that's another perfect example, right? Because Carson Wentz, everyone was talking about him being a franchise quarterback, and then the injuries flat out derailed him. Flat out derailed. I thought he was is he not with Kansas City? He's not with Kansas City anymore. Carson Wentz, is he a free agent quarterback? Anyone going to take a look at Carson Wentz? Anyone? I thought he was with Kansas City. But his injuries, they derailed his career, period. An apology to the corporation. Get the hell out of here. Oh, he's not even on their roster. All right, let me go thaw out. McNabb was a clean break that could have swollen up the next day that kept him out. I'm done with you, man, today. I am absolutely done with you. 5:42, quick timeout. We'll come back on the other side.
The blast got the drinks pouring. Take a risk like it's a short thing. Going in, yeah, I'm going all in. Get it cool out, yeah, you can bring a friend. Dive right in, let's go. Do more than dip in the car. Let the rhythm take control. It's going down tonight, yeah. Dive right in, let's go. Do more than dip in the car. Let the rhythm take control. It's going down tonight, yeah. Dive right in.
This is what the Down Beach Seafood Fest is all about. It's about community, it's about friends, it's about culture, right? The food culture in Atlantic County is rich.
Oh, this was tweeted at me. Mike, Redskins Commanders fan, sent me this old article. RG3 basically saying that Shanahan never wanted him in 2012, yet he came in and led Washington division title anyway. I was, quote, put in an impossible position with coach, never wanted me. Made players like Santana Moss a believer through hard work, film study, showing up early, leaving late, putting up the extra hour, staying after practice and getting extra work in. We won the division that year. Well, if he never wanted him, maybe he just decided to keep him out there. Who knows? One will never know. Carson Wentz had a mental block after his injury. Carson Wentz was never the same quarterback after that injury. If you want to call it a mental block, call it whatever you want. I've never seen, has there ever been a quarterback who was on the cusp of stardom and then has an injury and they fall off the face of the earth as quickly as Carson Wentz did? He basically is a journeyman quarterback. Carson Wentz had that unbelievable, what was it? The 33-7, 2017, and then 18 had a solid season. 2019, he was unbelievable. 4,000 yards, close to 30 touchdowns. And then obviously, the precipitous drop, the drop off. I can't recall. I'm telling you, I remember that year that Carson Wentz, 2017, the Eagles went 11-2 under him. And then he got hurt on the road, against the Rams. I think he threw that touchdown pass to Aguilar, was it? And I never saw a quarterback. He was making every throw. He was making every throw. Carson Wentz, you could have argued, was the MVP. Now, it went to Tom Brady, and rightfully so, but Carson Wentz garnered some votes. I mean, this season was unbelievable. It really was. And the drop off was staggering. Staggering. That goes further to proving my point into Shanahan wanting him. No, he wanted him on the field. He never wanted him. Hence, he wanted him on the field. Maybe Shanahan decided, you know what? I know he's hurt. I don't want him in the first place. I'm going to keep him out there. So that furthers my point. That furthers my point. Keep him out there. Yeah, fine. He's already hurt. I don't want him out there. Maybe he injures himself. Yeah, because you don't think that happens in the NFL? Now, I'm not going to sit there and say they secretly say that out loud. But, put in a possible position. Furthers my point, madman. My point. I didn't say Snyder. I said Shanahan. So maybe subconsciously, again, you have to join a comprehensive corporate. I don't, you know what? I'm actually starting to think right now, the way the corporation has been trending with some stuff, I'm not happy on a Thursday. I'm really not. I'm not happy with some of the comments that you've been delivering today. I mean, the fact that you called Salim a pot was just unacceptable. That's ridiculous. So go further your point somewhere else. What is it? 547. And the fact, here's another bone to pick. The fact that friggin' de facto threatened to ruin Slippery Pete that I started to watch on Netflix really bothered me. No, we're not going to be one and done. And they're not called the Redskins anymore. They're called the Commanders. As long as you keep bringing up Scary Terry, wait till we have Lake Lewis on. Oh, I am going to try to get Lake on and talk Washington football. Maybe I'm going to do a weekly spot, Washington Weekly Minute. How is that? Because I'm not friggin' talking Eagles every day. I can tell you that. I can't wait for the season to start because we're going to actually see where the rubber meets the road here with some of you guys. Sneaky Pete, thank you. Is it Slippery Pete? It's not bad. I'm like 6 episodes in. It's not bad. I feel as though a lot of stuff is happening, but it's not bad. It's good, right? I like the whole con thing. Anytime you have a show that has a con, or the storyline of cons, that's pretty good. Whoa! Hold on. I am going at Lake Lewis. You're going to have to do a preeminent ban on me. It's revenge for you absolutely giving away Squid Game final season with a member of the show. I didn't give away Squid Game. I didn't. All I asked was, did you guys see the final season? I didn't tell you how it ended. See, I don't do that. You guys want to watch a show? You want to watch a movie? There's a courtesy. There's an etiquette involved. Now, I'm wondering, de facto saw Superman. I heard it stunk. I have no desire to see it. Was it good? Was it bad? Is it as good as Slippery Pete? I don't know. But I don't have any desire to see that movie. But I won't allow de facto to come on the chat and give it away. We're not going to post that comment. That's not fair because maybe someone's getting ready to take their kids to see it tonight. Who knows? I didn't ruin Squid Game. That's a lie. And that we cannot have. That's a lie. That's not right. Now you're doing a disservice. Now basically what you're saying is that I go away and I basically give, I throw movies out there. I give endings away. I don't do that. I don't. Which, did you guys see there's a new Jack Reacher trailer? Movie that is. I don't know if it's legit though. Sometimes they put these like they had it's AI again. This is why I can't subscribe to AI. This is what's wrong with AI. They can do anything. They can AI my voice right now if they wanted to. I saw a movie trailer for like Scarface 2, and I'm thinking to myself, first of all, Al Pacino was, peppered with like AK-47 assault rifles, 44s, 38s, and he fell into the little fountain. Tony Montana is dead. That was number one. Number two is, knowing about the whole, your accents never really lose you. Having an uncle that was born in Cuba, his accent is thicker than ever. In the trailer, for some reason, Al Pacino, Tony Montana, spoke perfectly, as Madman would say, articulate and succinct English. Now, how is that possible? I have to, let me see. Hold on. Scarface Hill. I don't think you guys are going to be able to, I don't think, oh, you know what? I can technically, I don't think I can think I can bring it up. I don't think I can do that. I don't even know if you guys are going to be able to hear it. Let me see. Able to hear it. I might have to fire this off tomorrow for you. But yeah, he's speaking English with no accent. How's that even possible? I mean, come on. Tony, baby, what are we doing here? Let me get to a couple more comments. A couple more. Joel and Embiid. Sarge, you've always been critical of Embiid. I reread that article. I thought it was a nice piece. I didn't think it was a hit piece. I think you're making more of it than you have to. And I actually feel a little empathy for him. Okay. That's fine. I feel like he has very thin skin. I do. I do. I think, and there's a reason, like, he responds to criticism the way he does. But ultimately, you got to win. You have to win. You just have to win. If you're a franchise player, you're making that type of money, you're putting the franchise on your back, then you have to win. What do we hear? Sound Delaware chimes in. Q, who came up with Thought Out Thursday? That would be the Madman. We were going with Read the Room Tuesday, but unfortunately, a loyal listener of ours decided he didn't know how to read the room, and I was excited because I thought we'd go with a Read the Room Tuesday. That to me, it had a good rhythm to it. It had a good feel to it. It just sounded good. A Read the Room Tuesday. Do you read the room? We got the Mentioso, Lunas, Manolo, Man Up Monday. We got the Woosah Wednesday. We got the What the Frig Friday. So we thought Tuesday, Sally Boy, was going to be a Read the Room Tuesday. That was squashed 20 minutes into the show when a said commenter totally went off topic. And this said commenter, his MO is to always totally go off topic. I mean, we can be talking about widgets and this guy wants to talk about watchets. I mean, it's very frustrating because it just disrupts the whole flow of the show. So that was squashed. But because we have a Woosah Wednesday and I was already getting annoyed today, now I think we are going to call, courtesy of Madman. I'm going to give credit where credit is due, and I'll even take it a step further. Courtesy of the corporation Thursdays will now be known as Thaw Out Thursdays or Thawed Out Thursdays. I think we should go with Thaw Out Thursday. I think we should. That's just me. Ray in Newark chimes in. It's not Slippery Pete Q. It's Sneaky Pete. And it was a very good series. Ha, ha, ha. I am trying to get through season number 1. That's all I'm looking to do. I want to get through season number 1 unscathed, without anyone ruining it for me, without anyone dropping any tidbits. I'm not doing it on that corporation payroll. No, you had your chance. You had your chance to have a segment or the show named after what you do, or the lack of what you do, reading the room. And you went ahead and do what you do best. You go off topic. You're commenting when we're talking about Washington and RG3 and Shanahan and Josh Harris and the NFL. You're asking me on the air about what was it the other day that De Facto mentioned? Somebody chiming in for me, please. Talking about what does the number next to the comments mean? And the great listening audience said it's how many times you comment during the show. Now today we have to go back and again mark the tape. Let's see, what do we got here? Oh, here it is. Here. I know I'm not reading the room, but if I buy, I don't even know what that is, a super chat, my content is free. We're not charging you. Oh, here it is. On YouTube, there is a prompt to buy a super chat. Do those funds just go to YouTube, or do you get a piece of the pie? Oh, my goodness. De Facto. You are an absolute gem. No plays, WNBA tonight. Second half of baseball season. Tomorrow, we'll give you some plays. Also, Lloyd's going to join us. John Bueller from Fanside, working on a couple former NFL players to chime in too. Some of them are right now coaching in college. They're breaking for that soon. High school as well. But next week, because it is pretty much the last week of July, and we look ahead to August in training camp, we're going to start getting into some of our sleeper plays, our dark horse teams. We got some numbers and stats, potential props when it comes to some of these offenses and quarterbacks and running backs and wide receivers. So we want to have fun with you guys. And then before you know it, we'll start to get into the divisions one last time. We'll make our predictions. We're going to blink. It's going to be September, and we're going to be in full gear with college football season. We're also trying to work in a little fantasy football because I know you guys said that you enjoy fantasy football. So we're trying to work that in as well. If I buy a super chat, are you on my payroll now, Q? Ooh, well, that would, like I said, go against everything I just said. And I don't like to talk out of both sides of my mouth, and I'm not a hypocrite, and I don't want to contradict myself. So because the content is free, you get it free. We don't paywall. We don't subscription base. And, there are no donations. We call that pay-only, plug-only, right? So if Joe's Tires is listening in and they want to give me a couple bucks and I mention Joe's Tires, now you got a problem. Pay-only, plug-only, right? Because he's paying me to give him a mention. So to answer your question, in layman's terms, in the broadcasting spectrum, I will not be able to accept that offer de facto. I appreciate it. Now, on other programming, that's a different story. Back Your Play's coming back for the football season of college football. And we're probably going to have that on Amazon Music, Spotify, Podchaser, Podcaster as well. That's going to be on the YouTube channel. And as you guys know, we're going to go with the betting lines heavy. Now, there's no paywall for that, no subscription based. And we will leave it at that. All right. Good stuff today. Appreciate you guys chiming in for 2 hours as you typically do. Just a reminder, don't forget, check us out Monday to Friday, 4 to 6 on Triax57, my YouTube channel on X. Also Triax57 Facebook page. You can always get social with us as well. Facebook, IG, and X. Log on to Triax57.com. You can follow me on IG and X at Rich Q on Q. And of course, Rich Q on the mic on TikTok. Good stuff from Jonathan Marshall. Check out his Marshall Time pod. Also joins me during the week and does a good job with SR 1029 FM, The Game. All right. So for you goofballs, have a wonderful Thursday. We'll get into more of the payroll conversation tomorrow on a What the Frig Friday edition of Middays with Q. But as always, I'm Rich Quinones. Appreciate you guys always keeping us tuned in. For the guys commenting, texting, and Facebook messages, and of course on the YouTube chat. You guys are fantastic. Have a good Sports Thursday. We will talk to you tomorrow at 4 o'clock, straight up, no banker hours on a Friday edition of Middays with Q. What the Frig Friday edition of Middays with Q. Until then, I'm Rich Quinones. Hasta luego, mi dia.